Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, charcoal is a game changer. It's an absolute game changer in drawing. I think Rashmi and Claudia, maybe Julia hasn't done it. Sandra, I know, has done it. Those
I
two,
have done it.
you have done it. Rashmi has done it. Do you
I
agree?
love it.
Yeah, you agree with me, right? Like charcoal is a game changer because the way, and you'll notice that I picked a very particularly a source with a lot of soft edges and very strong light dark edges, right? A very distinct light and dark side. However, you can totally do this in pencil, but all of the things that you stress about with pencil, like how do I get the fur texture, they kind of go away with charcoal. So that's going to be, and the process of charcoal. So that's going to be a really interesting thing. For those of you who have charcoal, so let's just review the materials. For those of you who have charcoal and newsprint, I like working with this. Newsprint is literally, you can buy it in a lot of stores, art stores. Newsprint is literally like the paper that they print newspapers on. Remember that? People, I guess they get the newspaper. Some of you still get a newspaper delivered to your door. Some of us still do. So it's got a kind of rough texture. And if you look at it, if I try and put a pencil mark on it, the pencil kind of disappears, right? It sort of goes, it does, I mean, pencil looks okay with this kind of medium, but this medium is really made for something softer and more porous and, you know, kind of more chalky. So charcoal, right? Here is charcoal. Here is your charcoal piece. Look at the difference between when I lay, and go ahead and just take a piece of charcoal and newsprint and play with it for a second. Charcoal, you'll see, has see how, look at what I, just by doing this, right? That, look at how much texture is in there, right? And if there's something I don't like, I can just disappear it, scrub over it and make it disappear. Can't really do that with pencil in the same way. I mean, you can erase pencil, but look at all these soft edges that are happening with the charcoal. I can also make hard edges on the side. See, like that. What is charcoal? Charcoal is literally burnt wood. So you'll see each one, the kit, you're gonna love, Bettina, the kit that I have you get. It's lots of different shaped, I think he sort of harvests firewood tree, like trees that have been burned in fires. So lots of redwoods. So a lot of different substances can be, wood substances can be used. You'll often see the terms vine or willow, and that just literally means grapevine has been burnt to be turned into sticks, or willow vine, you know, willow branches. But this is probably like a redwood of some kind. It's very light. You'll notice each piece has its own different color. And I wanted to, or sort of shape and size, and some will draw differently than others. And I have a student in who has a farm. She just literally, when she wants charcoal, when we do charcoal, she goes out to her wood pile and actually just pulls a piece of burnt wood off and works on it. So that is charcoal. And look at how lovely it sits on this. It's okay on, let's see. Where is it? Because I need a piece of paper. Here we go. It's okay on drawing paper. It's not the worst. But it doesn't have the same kind of look. It looks different, right? It doesn't stick the same as it does on like sort of printer or that kind of paper. The only other thing I wanted to review for you is that it can be, there's another type of charcoal. I want you to look at them here. So these two are charcoal pieces. This is compressed charcoal. And compressed charcoal is not something you want to do this exercise with. And in fact, if you use it at all, you want to wait till the very end. Compressed charcoal has a much darker line. It's like using a 4 or an 8B pencil. And the problem with compressed charcoal is I can't get rid of it. you can see here, this I can kind of smoosh around, change, but compressed charcoal, I can't. So it's to be used only when you know where all your darks are and you want to add some like emphasis, maybe in the kitty eyes, you know, something like that. But in general, and you can tell it's heavier. Look at my fingers, they're already getting all dirty. It's heavier than the compressed charcoal, and it's kind of got a stronger shape. So that's how you'll know. You should make sure you don't accidentally grab some of this. It won't be in the kit that I sent you, but it might be if you're pulling together charcoal pieces from different sets, there might be some of this in here. You'll notice we are not using a charcoal pencil. I am not interested in the charcoal pencil in this exercise. Although you are totally, of course, welcome to use it for detail work. The charcoal pencil isn't going to really do this for you. So for, I'm thinking I'll probably, let's grid this. So for those of you who are working in pencil, you're going to, as usual, do with your paper what I'm about to do. Do with your pencil and your ruler what I'm about to do with my paper, with our source and the marker. You're going to find the halfway point, and we're working 9 by 12, 28 by 21.5 centimeters, that general, or 8.5 by 11, that general area. So you're going to find the halfway point. Oops, it's too dark. Let's do this. You're going to find the halfway point on each edge. So for those of you who are using, now, if those of you who are using charcoal, if you can wait just a second, I'll show you how to, I'll remind you of how we start with charcoal, right? And then I'm going to find the halfway point on this side. Halfway points, so that we have this divided into 4 equal segments. I'm trying to decide if we need more grid lines. What do you guys think? I know everybody has trouble placing the eyes. If you all promise me to work with your eye placement, maybe we'll just keep it here for right now. All right, so while you who are working in pencil are going to be drawing your grid, right? Just the 2 lines like this. Those of you who are going to be working in charcoal, you are going to start by taking the edge of a charcoal and toning your paper with it, like this, or the side of a charcoal. So you're going to start like this. See, game changer, right? Totally different way. And instead of drawing with your pencil, you're going to be drawing with your kneaded eraser. So Bettina, you'll be getting this cool kind of silly putty like eraser in your kit. It's very dirty because I've been using it already for the other classes. It does really look like silly putty. What's cool about it is you can kind of, it's more flexible than other erasers. You can kind of move it into a point if you want to. So we're going to be drawing with this. That's how we're going to start our drawing. So for those of you who need it, go ahead. Those of you who are working in charcoal, well, those who are working in pencil are looking for the halfway point and marking this with their pencil and ruler. We're going to do it with our eraser. So I'm going to mark my 2 halfway point lines like that. And then it's going to be the same on the bottom or on the side, sorry. So our beginning lines okay, so I want you guys all to admit to yourself right now, I'm going to mess up where the eyes are. Okay, once we do that, we can start to have a conversation about how to not mess up where the eyes are. So if you are drawing this in pencil, you can, of course, work as usual with this notion of the outside shapes. So those of you in pencil, so notice where the head, it looks like the head on this side literally stops at the halfway point. And the eye is pretty much going to be contained here. And I want you to really pay attention to how much space is from here to here and from here to here. And then you'll notice, is it? Yep. Basically, it's one eye space between the eyes. So when you place once you get this eye placed, it's going to be easier. And then this eye is, well, it's pretty much, this eye has a slightly different shape because we can see more of it. Notice I'm doing the outline of the eye before I start getting into any of the detail. Notice top of the nose, bottom of the nose. Little mouth right there. So I want you to identify either with your eraser or with your pencil, depending on what you're doing. Start with the outside lines and identify kind of where these are. So how does this look with the eraser? You can notice here I'm marking 1 to the halfway point. Yeah, that's about right. Let's see. Any questions? Go ahead. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can see. And if you feel like your eraser, oops. So those of you who are working, oh, I see this. That's much better. Oh, right, there we go. Okay. It should be coming back soon. What's going on? Huh. Okay. Give me just a minute. For some reason, my tab doesn't seem to want to be in the room. You guys go ahead and get started with your erasers. I'm going to leave this meeting and come back. Oh, I see. That's my camera. That was crazy. There we go. Okay. What? Very strange technical. Oh, I see. I'm going to leave the meeting and come back in on the tab. Those of you who are ready, you can just get started. And those of you who have done charcoal before, how's it feel? Good? Wonderful, right? Yeah. So you're going to see that charcoal is a lot. There's so much, like watercolor, really, when we think about it. There's so much texture in the charcoal, how the charcoal hits newsprint. There's really nothing like it. Okay, let me come back here. All right, so here, let's continue with the demo while you guys are working on yours. And you can, of course, send it in if you're ready. And when you feel like you get your eyes and you get these red lines in all the right places, send it over to me and I'll take a look. I prefer you not do more detail until you get there, but of course, you don't have to do anything I say, it's all just suggestion. Yeah. Notice I'm often marking, whether I'm using a pencil or I'm using my eraser. When I'm drawing, I'm always like, if I have a grid, I'm using it. I'm like I can mark where I want things to end, right, where it hits the grid. That's helpful for me. If you take away too much with the eraser, you can always just go back in and add a little bit more charcoal, like that. Yeah, charcoal, total game changer. Talks to you, teaches you drawing in an entirely different way.
Leah, can you please send the picture of the this marked drawing?
Oh yeah, with the, I thought I had already. Sorry.
No.
Wait, which one? This one, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Hold on. Oh, the March drawing, right? I haven't done that yet. Yeah, let me do that now. Yeah. Still a little on the dark side. So can you see it? Kind of like the little outline here. Let me change this up a little bit. And now I'm going to try and locate my eyes. So I know that the one eye needs about this much space. On this side and that much space on this side. So when I start to sketch it, the shape of it. Right. Maybe it'll come down, it comes down a little bit more. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this over here to determine where my next eye starts. Now notice this eye has a different shape. Don't try to make them the same. Don't you all be trying to make them the same, because the kitty's head is turned. So one eye we can see more. The eye that's on our left, we can kind of see more of it. This eye is turned away from us a little bit. So there's a slight foreshortening happening. So while the eye is about, the width is probably the same. No, it's a little bit. It's a little bit wider. And it's more at an angle like that. And then the mouth is kind of right here. Nose is, notice, is a little bit to the right. Nose is lower than you think it is. In fact, I wonder. It's about one eye length. The top of the nose is about one eye length down. So I'm kind of just marking these areas so I know where the things are. And then if you're using your pencil, you're gonna, as usual, start marking out the dark and the light areas. But if you're using your eraser, right, and then you're gonna darken and then you're gonna lighten. But if you're using your eraser with charcoal, you're gonna go in and start adding in lights where you see them. So you can see some light stripes with the kitty. Right. And then there's the light side of the kitty. There's a this is coming down more. And even kind of quickly get in a few of the whiskers here if I want to. No, that came down too far. And then I'm going to start going back and forth with my darks and my lights, right? So now I've got my lights kind of erased in. I'm going to go back in with the edge of my pencil and start adding in my darks. There he is. My darks, my midtones, my lights. I can go in here and start kind of working around some of the fur edges, right? And look at how this cat starts coming out as if by magic. So quickly. I'm going to put up, I have one, I have a picture that's not darkened, that doesn't have lines on it. Look at that. Already, my picture starts to have some life. Then I go back and forth between adding these dark, these mediums, these lights. And notice how I don't have to do very much with my charcoal to create a feeling of fur and texture. Easy for that. I'm watching myself kind of drift my eye out a little bit. It's easy to drift it, so be careful there. I got a little bit, my light came down a little bit too far on this side. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. You will find that you're much more attuned to dark and light shapes, to the edges, the dark and light edges, to the edges of things. It's going to be easier for you to see and deal with these using your charcoal, or quicker, I should say. It's going to come out a lot quicker. Like under here, like it's interesting. Up here, it's kind of lighter, and that's how your darks, right, show up against the light. But down here, there's a little kitty in the shadow. There's this kind of medium light edge under his head, and you see it by adding in the darks, right? If I want my light whiskers to show, I kind of work the dark around it. Look at how fast this all happens. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the miracles of charcoal. I still have a lot of work to do. I've got to get much darker in here on the dark side. And then there's lights. Make sure to get that outer shape of that cat eye, right? It's easy to get it, to kind of make it too big. There is a kind of a little light edge. But notice, so this is something interesting to think about with shading, and let's see. So is this a, Bettina, I see the problem. You have your face is too far in. You need to get the edge of your face exactly at the halfway point. So your eyes are squished in, your face is squished in. Can you see that? Your face is like, you have your face ending here on your drawing. It should be at the halfway point. So your cat's face is probably feeling too long. This really is, look, if you see it exactly halfway. That edge. Okay, but okay, Rashmi, remember what did I say at the beginning of class? Remember what I said at the beginning?
Same shape.
But do you remember what I said about the eyes? What did I tell you about the eyes?
The eyes are not the same shape.
Right, but also you're going to get them in the wrong place. Everyone, not you, everyone is going to get them in the wrong place. I want you to look at how far your eyes are away, right? These eyes should be, there's one eye width between the two eyes. Definitely they're not the same shape. But what I really was, you're not going to get the eyes in the right place, and we're going to talk about it. So thank you for being just the first example. Bettina was the first. Anyway, all of you, not like so far, this is the hard thing. So I guess what I'm telling you is not to feel bad about it or discouraged. Just know that you're going to do it, and we're going to talk about it, how not to do it. I get the.
So the left eyes are I've moved it farther away, right? I have to bring it in.
You've moved it too far away.
Yeah.
Yes. So right here, there should be one eye width between the two eyes. This eye then becomes the measure for that eye.
Good.
You're going to put the eyes in the wrong place. There's in, so you can see how to get the eyes in the right place. I guess I'm only emphasizing this because I want you to get that this is a consistent problem of evaluating, not really knowing animal faces very well, right? And also tending to just focus too much on the eyes and give them too many, and also just it's you know, it's something we have to pay attention to. One of the things I wanted to point out about this particular source, which I find really interesting, is that if you look at the dark and the light side, so we have a dark side and a light side. So here's the dark side of the face, right? Here's the light side of the face. Notice that the markings on the kitty on both sides are similar. There are lights, right? And there are darks. But notice that on the dark side, the lights are like, there's very few ones. There's very few super lights. So the light here is going to be like a 1, and the light here is going to be a 2 or a 3 in value. Does that make sense? So train yourself that even though there are lights and darks, this light is not the same value as this light because it's in the shadow side. So everything that's in the shadow, it just means that although the light dark patterns are the same, the values are a little bit darker. Obviously your 5s are going to stay 5s, but your lights are going to move to 2s and 3s. Does that make sense? I remember when I finally learned that, I found that very confusing. When I finally learned that, I was like, oh, okay. So there are basically no 1s on the dark side of the face, except for little tiny pips here and there. Let's see. Okay, and yes, and you're, watch the shape of the eye, Rashmi. It's really, you've got it like a little narrow. It's a little too narrow. You're getting there. The shape, the space seems to be okay. Also notice that the nose is a little bit to the right of the center here, the center line. Okay. It's not exactly on it. So I'll send a picture of this so you guys have it. I can't always fit everything on here, but I can't help but get excited about this. To me, when I started using charcoal, this is when I learned, as I told you, that I could draw. Because drawing with charcoal is a lot like drawing with paint, with a paintbrush. And yes, you draw with a paintbrush. That's why we spend as much drawing in a painting class as we do painting. In fact, sometimes we spend more time drawing. Because those need to be in place. And there's that little plumb line with more of the details so you guys can see it. All right, Nina, that's awesome. So I hope you started the way I asked you to, which is to start with, I hope you caught, I know you weren't here at the beginning, so I don't know if you caught that the way to start in charcoal is to actually start with toning the paper and then using your eraser to do the beginning drawings, to do the beginning shapes.
Yeah, I got the square. So yeah, okay.
Great.
Yeah.
You need to, so you're not drawing with, this is a fairly late stage in this drawing. I did my entire beginning drawing with, let me make sure, with the eraser. And that's the thing about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, so you also are, okay, so you've got the eyes wrong. Let's talk about that. Number 1, your the face is at the halfway point. If you're using a 9 by 12 inch paper, right? You have your face in here, you squished it in here. So this side, the eye will look all squished in. You need to make sure that your face comes to the halfway point here. If you're using 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12 paper. The second thing is that this eye is like way small and this eye is way big. So you've made this eye too small.
Okay.
The third thing is that you've busted out. So before you get into any details, you have done this. And in fact, what you've really done is this and that. Notice this kitty's face goes in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So get those outer shapes before you get to start adding in any detail. So this comes out to the halfway point if I'm using an 8.5 by 11 or a 9 by 12 sheet of paper. And if I'm not, I'm using those dimensions so that I can keep my measurements the same.
Okay, the paper I have is actually 18 by 24, so
That should still, it should still work.
it's yeah, I think, okay, yeah,
Just
all right.
double the size. So 18 by 24 is great. That's just that's just half of 9 by 12. So it still should be at the halfway point from the center to,
Okay, it's yeah, I see it.
yep. Yep. So I would say, I want you to start over because it's going to take you, what I want to see, I want you to take a picture. I want you to smear everything. Okay.
Okay,
And then I want you to redraw your grid. And then I want you to take a picture and show me the whole piece. So I make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're doing the right thing. And working with the right measurements. Yeah. 18 by 24 will totally work the same. You can copy a 9 by 12 inch sketch on an 18 by 24 inch sheet of paper because it's double the size. So you're still going to use the same proportions. You're still going to, it's just going to be a bigger space. And actually, 18 by 24 is really neat. It's fun size. I would do it if I could fit it on here and have you guys see it.
I missed the sizing of the paper in the beginning, otherwise I just would have done half of the sheet.
No, you would have had to do a quarter of a sheet.
Or a quarter of the sheet, okay.
So
Okay.
what I'd like you to try and do the whole sheet. So that's why I want you to smear this all out, tone it again, and then I want you to divide the sheet in half on both sides using your eraser and then take a picture and show me.
Okay.
Nice. Claudia, let's see. 1, 2. Good job, Claudia. Eyes are mostly in the right place. This eye needs to be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller.
Sorry, the one on our right.
The one I'm pointing at right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That eye, right? They're not so bigger in size, but this is just like a little tiny shrimp, right? They're close in size, much closer in size than they look. It's more like this. This is a little bit more elongated, but they are the same height.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
Same height.
Yep. Good job. Right, for those of you using pencil, you're going to do what you've been doing, right? You're going to be outlining your lights and your dark areas, and you're going to be, working in your darks first. You'll notice that with charcoal, we put in our darks at the beginning. So we're able to get to the light dark, the sort of fun light dark contrast much quicker. All right, let me get back to it. Yeah, it's good, Rosh. Keep going. Yep, it's good. You're gonna thank me later. Like, maybe trust me, you're gonna thank me later for making sure your measurements are right now and for catching your, notice everyone's making these errors. Sandra's laughing. You're gonna thank me later for doing this now. Measure, what do they say? Measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
is the saying. You're gonna thank me, and everybody gives me this look like I hate you. Like making me do this. But later you're like, oh, I see why we have to do this. If we can get into the habit of doing the measurements first, making sure everything's in the right places, the rest of the drawing goes way more smoothly. We have less problems later. So you'll notice I do have lights here on this dark side, but they're a little bit softer they're a little bit darker than the lights on my right side. So let's see. I'm gonna come up here. It's a little bit here. There's a kind of one in here. So I'm often using my finger to do the darks because this light stripe on the light side is definitely lighter than this light stripe here. So you see, I'm using my, now, I'm going back and forth, oops. Notice there's no pencil. I love it. People come with a pencil. I'm like, this is not a pencil exercise. This is an exercise designed to get you to understand shapes and relationships between light and dark shapes. This, you're really forced to. So I'm going to get a little bit darker with everything here. And if it also feels weird, you've done it, but it feels kind of weird, that's okay too. You know, we haven't been with charcoal in a really long time. There's going to be points where you're going to want to use the edge, maybe around the contour lines of the nose, definitely around the eyes, right? The edge of your charcoal to get a stronger line. Lots of everything else is going to be a lot softer. Yeah, I want to see more detail, Raj, before you get in there. And really be careful. The eyes are different shapes, but they're not so different that they look like they belong to different creatures. So pay attention to that. What looks like a really huge difference is not that big. Notice that they are the same height. They're just slightly wider. And so be careful on that angle as you start to go in and add more detail. That's all. Having said that, I noticed that I was kind of struggling. Mine was a little bit on the big side too.
Lee, I just sent you a picture of the whole, I redid the whole.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So now, just like this is the halfway point, right?
Uh-huh.
In fact, it's a little bit, yeah, it's the halfway point. It's here. So you're going to start your sketch. So you're going to do with your eraser these red lines.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, and when you're done with the sketch in the eraser, then I want to see it again.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I missed the measurement part because I came later. So yeah.
That's why I was like catching up with you. I wanted to make sure you knew that because I knew that would be confusing, but it doesn't really need to be confusing because the measurements are proportionally the same, even though you're twice the size.
What are you doing there?
Great.
It's very logical if you're thinking in a right brainwave.
Yeah.
My measurements, it's a logical thing, right? I double my measurements. It's the same proportions, just bigger size. It's exactly the same. So that's the interesting thing. It's incredibly logical if you think about it in the right way. But if you try to apply, like, you know, sort of, well, wait, how do I deal with the, you know what I mean? If you don't understand the logic of it, it's an engineer's logic.
Okay.
It's engineering logic. It's very logical. You're also going to notice immediately that there is some frustration that you can't get any darker than a certain kind of level. That's also valid. We're going to spend at least a month in charcoal, maybe more, because I want you to get how great it is and kind of get used to working on it. And then we're going to switch it up again. We're going to go to ink.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really fun. Because all the frustrations, so the way this class is designed is to really show you the benefits of one medium to another. You will see that the benefits of, so one of the things that we're learning is as we move from charcoal or as we move from pencil to charcoal, the benefit of charcoal is it's way easier to get fur textures. Way easier. It's way easier to get a lot of soft textures because of the medium, because the way it lays down than pencil. And then you'll get irritated with charcoal because you can't really get as dark as you like. And then you go to ink, and that is not a problem at all. You're going to see a lot of this cat kind of winds up in dark right here. This shape is going to be really important. That shape. Happens when I just add this little light spot in the light part of the eye. Interesting. I'm struggling with getting rid of this. So that's better. send this. Oh, nice, Julia. Okay, so Julia. Okay. You're getting a little bit, your eyes are a little bit too close together. So Julia, the same thing happened to you that happened to me, which is that as I began working these, I made these lines a little bit wider, right? So, and also I would just get rid of the white around the dark side. I think that's also confusing and it makes your eye look bigger. Also, I feel like, I'm just looking here. The nose is really mostly to the right of this center line. You have it right on the line. So you see how it makes your cat look a little, so the nose is really, here, I'm gonna take a picture of it so you can, up close, so you can see where it is. This is where I do a line down the center to show the light and dark of the face. I'm gonna draw I'm going to do a close-up of the nose. No, I'm not going to do it here. So you can see. So notice that's your left brain tendency, wanting to center things when they shouldn't be centered, right? You want to. You want to. You want to. Your left brain thinks it's logical. Your left brain does not know what it's talking about. Here, I'm going to show a real close-up of the nose so you can see where the nose is, and kind of see. And then here's a picture of it without the blue line covering up the left side. So I do a line down to show the dark light divide. It's not exactly in the same place. Okay, sorry, and hold on, Claudia, I was just taking a look at your drawing too. So Claudia, I'd say it's really great, except same thing. The nose is more, you're trying to center the nose. And you're also trying to make the nose darker when it's really kind of a medium, right? The darkest part is kind of here. Use the close-ups that I sent you to see where to locate the nose, but also look, the nose here is really like kind of dark on the bottom. It's like a little bit lighter here. So pay, like, I know it's just like, because you can't see it very well, it's easy to want to make it different than it is, or just to give it a pat color. So your challenge is to really look at those nuances of detail. This is kind of a medium dark. Let's see if I can demonstrate it, what I mean. I'm starting by adding in the dark, but really the darkest part is kind of underneath and on the side. Now I'm coming back in with my finger. I'm going to kind of draw a line across. I'm going to use an eraser, get in a little white spot here. Really, the truth is, as we start to work these areas, I can tell when you've stopped looking, when everyone has stopped looking at the what's happening with the light. Like what I have to do to get this nose to work is work the fur around it as well, right? I have to work all the light and dark shades. And I can tell when you guys get tired and stop doing that. Usually you try to do something like make the nose all this dark color when that's not what's really happening. So see how much I'm working. Still, and then there's a tiny little, I'm not saying it's easy. It's interesting. My work on the nose just naturally brings me to the work on the area around the nose, kind of upper lip line. These little dots where the dotty dark lines with the whiskers are. So make sure you don't get too pat. Bettina, how's it going for you in pencil over there?
I'm struggling, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah, do your best. Are you feeling a little bit of, so here's a really good question. Are you like, man, I wish I had charcoal in my hand. That looks like fun.
Well, like I'm looking at the bottom of the cat
Mhm.
and you know, you can't represent that. You have to draw in all the background in order to erase to get the bottom.
Yes, it's a lot of work. You can do it, but it's a lot of work. Just keep going, just keep pushing through. Yeah.
So I decided to try to look for what we said earlier about trying to simplify. So I'm trying to like find essential
Yes,
shape. And
it's,
then
it's where lights and darks meet. It's
okay.
where bigger shapes are. It's where it's the shapes that you can see. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing I have my kitty shape. I move this over to. Yeah, I have a feeling you're really going to enjoy charcoal for its abilities to get that gesture down pretty quickly. I think you're going to like it. I can't wait for you to get your kit. It's neat.
I'm excited.
Yes. It changes drawing. It changes the way we think of drawing. It changes what we think a drawing is. It preps you for painting, if that's something you want to do.
Leah,
Yeah,
may I ask you an unrelated question, please?
absolutely.
I'm cutting my own watercolor paper because I want to try working on 300 pounds, which I love.
Uh-huh.
But what do you do with a logo? You ditch it, so you paint on it? You just leave it at the bottom?
Can you turn it around so that it's not, is the logo on both sides?
I think sometimes it goes through.
I ditch it. I try not to paint on it.
Okay, yeah, I saw somebody complaining online about how,
That,
because archers, I think, put the logo on like 4 places, like 4 corners.
that's really, although in the particular paper that I have, there's no logo, so.
Okay, but you're not supposed to paint on it, obviously, because it's going to
I
be
would
weird.
avoid it if you possibly can. I would avoid it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But that's like extra texture that you can't really get around.
Yeah, it's going to affect the painting. Yeah, I thought it would look nice at the bottom, but it's too enormous,
It is. It's kind of ridiculous.
like 2 inches or something. Then you would have to do 2 inches all around.
It is ridiculous.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, Nina, once you've got your outline, I'd like to see it, please.
I sent an outline and I'm just doing the eyes now.
Hang on, let me see.
Okay.
I missed that.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, nope, I see it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Good, good. Yep, yep, do the eyes. Excellent. Good job.
Yeah, instructions matter, so thank you. Yes.
Right. Right?
Yes.
And look at the way this, so what I like about charcoal as compared to pencil is that to me, the painting, the drawing almost emerges like somebody coming out of the water, right? Like it's like the drawing really, I don't know if you guys are finding this as you're working through it. The drawing emerges. Look at how this drawing is kind of emerging. Kind of like magic. I mean, I haven't got everything right yet, but the drawing itself kind of comes together more quickly in a surprising way. As you're working on these lights and darks, all of a sudden you're like, wow, look at this. I didn't do very much. This is already looking like a cat. And all of you are there, right? Every single one of you is there with that. So the question is now, how do I just get the details in, right? How do I get those light dark details? I was really struggling. I was noticing with, I kind of keep moving the chin this way. And it needs to be underneath the nose. So yeah, Julia's laughing. She's like, so yeah, don't like bother me about where I put my nose. I feel you, Jill. I feel your pain. I feel your pain, guys. That's all. So now I'm like gonna kind of come back and recenter. Also, part of it is I've sort of lost my center line. So I may actually go back in and add it in a little bit so I can see it again. You'll find that's the other thing that happens. So here is my center, is right here. So I'm gonna add it not all the way in, but I'm gonna add it on the bottom so that I remember, so I can kind of see, oh yeah, now here is where this is. So you lose that kind of stuff, right? You lose your grid lines. And oh yeah, that's much better already. Just re-adding my center line and putting that in with charcoal. So that's a problem. That's better, much better. And I'm gonna kind of notice I don't really have to soften the edges. They're kind of already soft. Now, different charcoals also have different, some are better at going darker, others are less better. You might have to switch it out. There's definitely not a consistent quality to them. There's a little bit of a changing up happening. Mostly learn how to really simplify, because the charcoal really allows for that. In this way, now I can kind of come in, you know, if we're working in watercolor pencil, it's harder to get these lights in the dark. You can do it. Some people think that's the most fun thing in the world, try and get your pencil to do those things. For me, I find it easier to do it with this medium. That's not true for everyone. Not everyone's going to have that experience. I'm not saying you're automatically going to feel that way, but I am trying to say this is what I like about this medium. Notice if your leader eraser gets too dirty, it's hard to get light lines. So if that's the case, you can switch it, you can squeeze, you know, stretch it out and then find a clean spot. Yeah, retrying my center line and getting mine, it's helped a lot with my heating. Notice again, after I added all my darks and put in my little highlight on this light side, and that really, look at this, I'll take it out and put it back in again. So look at the difference between that and then bam, right? That makes a big difference in the sort of depth of the kitty. For some reason, that little spot is the thing, getting that is the thing that changes everything. Look at, we still have so much time. We have like 45 minutes. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna go, hang on, I'm gonna get one more cup of coffee. You guys keep working. I'm here. Sandra, I was going to tell you your bunny drawing, your bunny painting, really, like I said, reminded me of the story that inspired me to be a painter. Childhood story. Did you guys ever read the Bunny and the Golden Slippers? The Easter Bunny and the Golden Slippers? That little story. It's a story of the Easter rabbit breaking his leg, who goes around on the day before Easter, right, delivering eggs to good children, just like Santa, breaking his leg. So he can't, the day before, so he cannot deliver eggs to the children. So this tiny little mother, single mother rabbit with like 20 children is asked to put on his golden slippers and do the deliveries. So before she leaves, she assigns all of her rabbit children jobs to do around the house. And some are cleaning and some are cooking and some are making the beds and some are doing the laundry. But you know what one of the jobs was? One of the jobs was some were making paintings for the walls. That was their job. Like it was a chore. And I remember that was the first one where I thought, that's a job? Like, oh my God. So every time I see a bunny painting, that's what I think. I see this little drawing in the book where the bunnies are making little paintings for the walls, and I'm thinking, I could do that rather than like, make the beds. That's awesome. The little bunny. Oh, wait, there is no Sandra here right now. She popped off. All right, I'm gonna have to tell her that story again sometime. But anyway, that's my, it's funny. I didn't become a professional painter. I didn't decide to do it as a job until way later. But I remember that story had a huge impact on me. Your job could be to make the paintings for the walls. And that was kind of neat. I hadn't really thought about it before. And it's a much harder job than it seems, right? Oh no, Sandra just came back. I'll have to tell her the story later. I'll tell you the story later. Sandra, I was just telling a story that your rabbit inspired me, but I'm not going to repeat it for these guys, so I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because it's recording, right?
Yeah, because it's recording and also just kind of boring to hear the same story twice.
Okay. You mean you just told the story and I missed it?
I just told the story and you missed it.
Oh, sorry, I was in the basement and I lost connectivity.
I'll tell you again at another time. I'll tell this.
Okay.
It's a great story to tell for people who want to be, you know, for the idea of art as a profession and a vocation.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. See if I can find it. Bunny. The Easter Bunny and the Golden Slippers. That's what it's called. No, wait. It's called The Country Bunny and the Little Gold Shoes. That's the name of the book. The Country Bunny. It was illustrated in 1939.
She came to say hello.
Who's it? Hi, sweetheart. How's your puppy doing? Hold on, I'm gonna spotlight you so we can see. Hi, baby. Oh, what a baby. How's he doing?
She's fine. She's just getting naughtier by the day. We call her the terrierist.
Terrorist.
I think she left in the house.
Oh, she looks like what a sweetheart. Oh,
Yeah.
she's ready to get
She
hugged.
looks if she would win that challenge. Yeah.
She's coming to get hugs from her mommy. Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll stop spotlighting you. Sorry. Here, hold on. We'll be there. Thank you for showing us. Claudia, you're still a little too centered. Nose is a little bit small and a little bit centered. So what's happening is you're anticipating that because you can't really see this side too well, this side's a little bit longer, right? Because it's turned a little bit. So what you want to do is line up the nose. Here, I'll show you a couple of things. You want to line up this line of the nose on this side with the edge of this eye. See that? And then over here, it's the same. So if that helps you kind of anticipate having monkeys, right? So it's kind of here, lined up with that little teardrop, and here, lined up with this little teardrop. Just like a person, actually. That sort of edge of the nose, that line on the edge of the nose. By the way, otherwise, this is looking really nice. And so then that will move and remember, things are looking a little too much the same from here down. So you're
Mhm.
trying to get that lightness on this side, the darkness on this side. And also the shape of the nose is really, let me sketch it. See, I'm going to sketch it out in the marker so you can really see it. This might help. I just sketched it out in marker so you can see it better. I'm going to take a picture and send it over. You're going to see how small your nose is, how it's too centered. Ouch. Yeah. Thank you. That's the shape of the nose. And you'll see. So it's not a, because this kitty is not looking right at us, her face is turned. That's why this is a little bit different shape than this one. And that's why this side of the nose kind of turns up a little bit more than that side.
Yeah, how's my
Let's see. Nina, I want you to really look at the shapes of the eyes and not what you think they are. I want you to look at them. They're not these long, skinny slivers. They're pretty round.
Okay.
Look at it. This one's not too bad, but this one is, see, you've tried to make this one like this one. Your left brain is not helping. Please tell it. Tell
Yeah,
it,
okay.
tell it does not logically understand what's going on here. Logically, what's happening is you really need to look at this shape and not try to make this shape look like that shape, but also be aware of the similarities. The height is the same on both, right? This one is just slightly turned and has a slightly more almond shape. This is more, but this is not doing that thing, right? It's not,
Yeah.
it's quite round. So really try to look at the shapes, not what your left brain thinks they are, because your left brain doesn't know.
Yeah, my left brain thinks it can color in the black to make up the shape. So,
Yeah, I know.
but obviously not. So, okay.
Yeah. So get those shapes a little bit right.
Okay.
Those lights are gonna, those shapes are gonna, I just want you to pay as much attention to shape as possible. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yes, and if you can, pick up the 1939 copy of The Country Bunny and the Little Golden Shoes. Great kid.
Leah, how's mine? I sent.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, it's looking good, Raj. Yeah, be careful because you're right, like, it's easy for this eye to get a little bit too big. So this eye is gonna be shorter in width than this eye, right? This eye is not, it's a little bit, the height is the same on both of them. The width on this one is just a little bit wider. So when you make this one higher, it looks bigger than this one. What's happening is this side of the face is turning away. So just like the road, it's a little bit more truncated and also kind of slightly angled up, but not too much. So, but it's looking in good. It's really starting to come along. Also, look at the shape that I sent the nose. I sent for the nose. Look at those. Look at the shape that I sent the nose. But it's good. It's coming along. It's really easy to get these eyes too big. What will happen is your dark line will kind of drift outward as you try to get rid of your light lines. So be aware of that as you're working. You guys are doing great, by the way. I'm not meaning to like say, I know, you know me, I tend to focus in on the thing that's not working without saying, hey, this looks like a cat. Good job with big eyes. Good job. Shapes, good. This is good. So tweak these things. You're doing great. Hi, Julia, I think charcoal is new for you, right?
I did a couple earlier in the year. There was like a drapery thing, and I think we did a
Oh,
guinea pig as
right.
well, which that guinea pig was awesome.
How do you feel? Right, the guinea pig, that's right. So how does it feel?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good for me to get out of the detail. Sort of, try to.
Right.
It's kind of fun.
It
Building.
does push you in a different direction, right? You need to learn to manipulate your, everything is, like some things take a lot less time and then other things take more time.
Leah, I sent the eyes
Let's
again.
Let me see. Better, Nina, better. Okay, so now you're gonna go in and start with your eraser and start erasing out the light areas. So before you get in and start doing the eyes, you're gonna, you know, with your side of your pencil, you're gonna pull all the light areas out with your eraser.
Okay.
And then you're gonna go back in and start darkening. You can use the edge, the tip, the side of your dark eraser to start adding in those dark lights. But get your light spots first. And that's
What I thought. Yeah, sorry.
that's what feels a little bit it feels strange, but you'll like it. You've already got dark in, so getting in your lights will start to help a little bit.
Okay. I find that when I take a picture, I do see where it's off.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. When you take, it's much easier. Taking a picture is like stepping back 5 feet. Because remember, the camera is not like the human eye. The human eye, actually, that's why there's this big debate in art school about teachers saying, I can tell when you've drawn from a photograph, right? Because the photograph is not the same as it's not as complex as how we view things with the eye. However, I still find that photographs help because they begin, beginners like you guys, because they begin to flatten things, they start to show you how things flatten, right? Ultimately, you'll want to take this to 3 dimensions and learn how to flatten things, but it helps to have it already flattened on a 2-dimensional surface so you can start to see what those shapes really are. So yeah, taking a picture and stepping back is like stepping back. Ah, better, Julia. Nice. Aww. Aww. So I think his, what I would do is kind of work, there's this like little dark edge. Do you see how it kind of flits? So work this dark edge and the light whiskers kind of here to help shape that face and make sure it doesn't look too, squeezed in.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Coming along now. So notice that although Julia's 2 eyes are definitely different shapes, they're still pretty consistent in height. And the change in width is not that great. It's cute. So, and I also challenge you to do what Nina's doing, which is to work twice the size. You can totally work in an 18 by 24 inch, and it's fantastic. So you're not doing 1 to 1, you're doing 2 to 1, right? The proportions will remain the same, but you've got bigger, so you'll still use the same measurements, but the distances will be greater, will be twice as long. I'll be right back, you guys. I have to step out of the studio for a second. Try to remember in this class that it's not, I know we're all really driven to results, and I am too. So I'm saying this as much for me as for you. Try to remember in this class that although we're very results driven, right? We all want to get to the place of the kitty looking, and I want you to get to the place of the kitty looking like a kitty in the shadow, you know, turn with the face turned a little bit. Remember also that it's about the process more than it is about the finished product. So if you're going back and forth and at the end of 2 hours, you don't have something you exactly like, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you learned something, right? As we're trying to apply these things. So try to keep that in mind. Let's see. Yeah, Nina, there's a bunch up here.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
We missed the biggest light.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Flashing that, but you're not really, yeah, I like the light shapes you have here, but you're kind of missing the bigger light shapes. You're kind of sprinkling them the way you'd sprinkle a dark and a light field, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of light here on this side. So try to see the more continuous shapes. There you go.
Okay.
And then now you can go back in and start getting your darks in. I would recommend getting your eyes in, you know, with the edge. Then you can start doing the sort of more drawing. Once you identify those light and dark shapes. How do you like working bigger? Is it
I
kind
love
of,
it. I actually really like it.
it's helpful, isn't it? It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's easier because you're not so squinched up, right? So you have a little bit of room to grow. I mean, most art classes are done in that bigger size. If they're taught in person, you work in the bigger size because people feel like, you know, because it's because you can use kind of more sweeping motions. It's kind of easier to get shapes sometimes. So yeah, I would highly recommend it to get the 18 by 24 inch size and just use it all the time. Oh, Bettina, that's really coming along. He's coming along. All right, so some suggestions. I like the eyes a lot. So let me see. 1, 2. So notice that this kitty, Bettina, comes off into dark. He doesn't, so I would take the side of your, and notice that this ear is significantly bigger, wider than this ear. So you've made them the same size, right? So widen this ear, really pay attention to that negative shape and make everything dark. Right? That's great though. You did great. You did really good. And really everything on this side up to here is mostly dark. So you can now bring your pencil over all of it. Right?
Okay, you mean on the left side, it's mostly dark.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
side.
I
most
see.
dark.
Okay, thanks.
And that's a good thing to work on. You got about 20 minutes. This is a great thing to work on. All right. Nice, Claudia, getting there. So really notice this area that you've got here is way too light on the left side, right? Because this light is, so right now, what I would do is take your charcoal and go over everything on this side with more dark. Because even though there are lights and darks, this is like a 3 and this is like a 1.
Mhm,
Light on the dark side is going to be like a 3 value as opposed to a 1.
mhm.
So if you don't have that in, then it looks like the cat is just, you know, like there's no difference in the dark to the light. We want this dramatic dark to light thing.
Mhm. Okay.
And then
You-
also, so really it's way darker. Yeah, just take your charcoal everywhere on the light.
Mhm.
Get rid of this light until it's just very subtle. You want it dark on this side and barely able to be seen here.
Okay.
Do you see intellectually why that's a hard thing to wrap your mind around, right? Your left brain wants to make these things equal. They are not, because the light is hitting them in different places. The logical thing to do from a left brain perspective is to understand, I know that if light hits this, although this face is symmetrical, I'm not seeing it symmetrically because I'm seeing one side in the dark and one side in the light. And to know that my lights on my dark side are always going to be darker than my lights on my light side.
Mhm.
And that's how I show that. See, even right here, do you see how I've got this described here? The lights are really pronounced, and then this one becomes less.
Mhm.
Everything on the dark side is a little bit darker, which when you finally understand it is like, makes so much sense. It's so logical, you know, from a visual perspective. But when your left brain tries to logic it out, it just doesn't work.
Accepting.
Coming along, Rashmi, coming along. Really nice. So Rashmi, I'm going to tell you the same thing. A lot of these shapes are really good. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Julia and I told Claudia, which is that you have the nose centered. So make sure as you start to darken, notice everything on this side of the nose is darker, right? And So right now your nose looks centered, but it isn't really. Look down here. I'm going to take a picture again of where the nose is in relation to the eyes. Notice the light dark that happens here. So get more and get more dark on this side in general. So you shouldn't have really, there really aren't any lights. There aren't any ones on this side except for these two things. There's no one.
Actually, whenever I'm trying to make something, the charcoal is coming off with my hand.
Yeah,
So that's why it's getting
yeah.
lighter on the sides.
Yeah. Particularly when you're working on a flat surface, so down. So I'm working with a drawing table that's kind of up at an angle, which allows me to lean not on the paint, not on the drawing. Yeah, that's one of the challenges of charcoal. Is remember, yeah. Anyway, just keep getting your darks darker, and remember that your nose is not centered exactly. Notice my nose is a little bit to the right. Because it's really because the cat's face is turned. So if we're not looking at this cat directly on, cat's face is turned. That means nose is a little bit to the right here. Lined up on this side with the little teardrop dark shape of the tear duct, and lined up on this side with the teardrop. So really look at that light dark shape to get that light. I know it's hard to see. You guys are doing great. Doing so great. Doing so great. My students are doing so great. So great. So great. I love the questions you're even asking. I think this is a very deep lesson, right? Which always happens when we switch mediums. There you go, Julia. Ah. Ah. Okay, so the last things, let's get his ear kind of defined up here so it doesn't look like his head is sticking out too much. What else? What else? I think this extends a slight bit longer on this side, very lightly. These are teeny tiny corrections. And the reason that I'm making them is that I'd like to use this for the student newsletter this week. Can I do that? Would you let me do that? Great. So let's tweak it and fix it. All of them featured at some point or another. So I may ask you, at some point, you're all going to be in this newsletter. Every single person here will be in this newsletter because you all have keep showing up for class and are doing such great work. But I like this example of charcoal, which I think will excite people because it looks so different. I don't know if you guys have seen any of Gina Chua's work. She's a wonderful portrait artist. And about this time last year, I sent her charcoal and sticks. And I said, I want you to use these instead of pencil. And now she does all of her portraits in charcoal. It was a defining moment, right? Charcoal is a defining moment in helping you kind of, because it lays down so differently than pencil. So it's really, it's important to see. Ultimately, you all are going to decide what you want to work in and what you like. And by the way, at the end of this process, if you want to, I will demonstrate it now. You can fix this drawing. You can fix this drawing using either aerosol hairspray or some of this stuff. Okay, so what I mean by fixing is, but it will change it a little bit. So you're going to start spraying it now. Don't panic. Changes things a little bit because as it gets wet. So if you want to save your drawing, you can spray it and let it dry for a few minutes, and you'll see as it dries, these spots go away and all the other things. You have less. It's less likely to sort of chip off.
Yeah, can I send you mine one last time?
Everybody send them in. Let's see. How's it feel to get back to it, Claudia?
I love it. Oh my God, I missed it so much.
I think you were doing fun things though, so I get the feeling it was a nice little. Okay, look, you can already see how it's drying, and now it doesn't. Oh, it's still wet. But you'll see it will dry, and then you won't have. My hand is like super. And somebody who's using charcoal is going to get charcoal on their face a little bit like the way, athletes get ashes on their forehead for protection. All right, let's see. Send it over, Claudia.
Okay. I'm actually doing it in double the size.
Good. So
That big.
same as Nina. Same as Nina, right? Are you working on an easel or are you working on your table?
No, on the table, yeah.
So we need to get you an easel and then a board so you can put stuff up and kind of create a situation that's like my drawing board that rises up. You'll be easier to work big.
Okay.
Oh, he's looking great. Wonderful. Wonderful. There you go. So darken here, right? We can't see those lights like we can on this side. And go in and lighten here. So reduce a little bit the size of the whiskers on this. You see how I've got this side kind of more light and less dark, and this side is just more dark.
Mm-hmm.
You have these 4 straight lines that look exactly the same on either side. You don't want that. You want the dark lines to kind of fade into the light over on this side, and on this side you want the light to kind of dominate. That's the last thing I'll have you do. Also, bring in a little bit closer. I know it's actually kind of this, you've got this shape good, but it feels a little bit too dramatic. So just scruff the edge a little bit or something to make that a little bit less. I'd soften this dark that's around it with your hands. Looks wonderful. Wonderful. Actually, maybe I'll use yours too, Claudia. It's looking good. Nina, it's coming along. Oh, Rashmi, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's
Is the
coming.
nose okay now? I fixed it. I think the
Oh,
tear
it
duct.
needs to move, the light needs to move more this way, right? So look at the light in relation to this eye. See that shape? It
Okay.
needs to move more this way. Dark comes about here. So just, yeah, you have time. Yeah, I know you were rushing, Nina, but, and this eye is way too big. So just wash it out and start over, you know, scrub out that eye and start over. Like not with the whole thing. And then I also think this knot eye needs to be a bit bigger. You have
Okay.
to remember what I told you. I was worried you were making it too narrow because you're focusing too much on this line and not the squareness of the rest of the shape.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, there isn't light all around. The iris is really only light in this like that
Yeah.
up here. You can't see it.
Okay.
And Josh, I would square off your eye a little bit as well here. Just square it off a little bit more, less almondy.
Okay.
And this is a little bit too long and wide. So you want to square this one off. So yeah, in a weird way, there's a square happening. Let me try and show you with edges to it. Square here, right? These things, it's square
Yeah.
here with this kind of thing off the edge. Ramina, you look at this too. I'll send this across.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I want to try this again once I get back home. So
Yeah, but play around with it a little bit more because you're going to find with charcoal, you can kind of scrub it out and you don't have to redo everything. Claudia, can I also, when you finish yours, I want to play yours and Julia's together. Can I put this in the newsletter as well? All right.
Yeah,
sure. Send them, both of them. When they're done, I want you two to send them to me.
I think I'm done.
All right. And notice now that I have sprayed, I've lost a little bit of my darkness, but my, let's see, let me find a clean part of my hand so you can see that it no longer scrapes, right? So my palm here is clean. Now I lean it on here and it doesn't come off. So if you want to preserve your drawings, this is a great way to do it. Let's see. Yeah, that's great, Julia. It's good. All right, send it over. When you're done working on it, and same with you, Claudia. But excellent work, everybody. I'm going to be coming after each of you in the next few weeks to give me some of your work for promoting this. Everybody okay with the new earlier time? It means less cancellations during the year. So if I can do this earlier, we can have more continuous classes. Yeah, there you go, Claudia. Nice. Nice, Bettina. Yeah, Bettina, this is great. Really admirable job considering, but look at the difference, right? You had to work really hard to get all those darks in, and it's not your fault, it's the medium, right? So I very particularly picked this because it's a good charcoal. Part of you were being, part of it is like, this is the type of drawing that will do well as charcoal. So I can't wait to see what you do with charcoal next week. Even so, I really appreciate how you worked with, I think your nose is lined up in the correct place. I love your lights. I feel you really worked on the shapes admirably. He's adorable.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to remove the spotlight here. Going to look at you guys in gallery view. Why don't you go ahead and hold your kitties up so we can see them? Oh, there's Sandra's real kitty. Here, and in fact, I'd like to actually take a picture. Everybody put your kitties up or whatever you're working on.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, put your real kitty up. Yeah, let's put your real kitty there. That's just hilarious. Rashmi, put your kitty up. She's like, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. We're waiting, Rash. Hold on.
Taking you.
I just think, oh, yeah. Put him up. He looks great, Rashmi. Awesome. You guys are awesome. All
Oh,
right.
he's fantastic.
It's really great.
My
You
touch
know,
is out.
excellent. Rashmi, excellent work. Maybe Rashmi, I'm going to take yours and put it in the thing as well. So you know what? Just everybody, when you're finished working on these, please send them over. And I'm going to take as many as I can to put in the slideshow for the Monday newsletter. But Tina, you probably won't see that because it's for the Art at Work people, the people who we're trying to get more people to come in. But please send yours in if you want to, and we'll put it in the mix. Great work, everybody, today. Marie's on for Pastel Landscapes tomorrow. She's going to have you copy a Monet Haystacks painting.
Oh, wow.
Pastel, yeah, right? It's going to be awesome. And we are working in the painting class. We're going to be working oil and acrylic. We'll be working on a crystal gemstone. So I might actually have you work with a palette knife if you want to. It should be a one-off. I don't think we'll spend more than one session working on this. So if you want to join, please feel welcome. And then next week, abstract painting, figure painting, blah, 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 all of it. Like all of that stuff is happening as usual. All right, you guys have a great week, and I'll see everybody soon.
What time is that painting class?
Which one? Abstract
When
painting?
you just talked the one tomorrow is like tomorrow.
Yeah. So my painting class is right after Marie's class. So if you want to do it, you'd spend like 5 hours. So I think you could. I think it starts at like 7:30 your time.
Okay.
Mine starts a half an hour after Marie's ends.
Okay.
So if you want to jump in, the other thing is, if you don't want to do the assignment, you can totally just jump in and work on whatever. It's a 3-hour class, so it's great for like, and Natalia will often do both. Who else does both? There's some people who will do just kind of motor through and do all 5 hours.
I just need to kill my family and then I can
There
be
you
free.
Maybe the family needs to learn that Mama needs Sundays for her art lessons. All right, you guys. We'll see you all later.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye, Leah.
Bye. Today, great work.